Israel's cabinet now set to vote tomorrow on that ceasefire deal and hostage release. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the delay comes after Hamas created a last-minute crisis. Unclear what exactly happened, and now the deal is expected to start on Sunday as Israel's air attacks intensify. At least 72 people celebrating the news of the deal are dead today. More than 200 injured after Israel launched several airstrikes. Half of those killed, we are being told, were women and children. This all comes just 24 hours after the White House in Qatar first announced that deal had been breached between the two states. Now, let's join by our senior fellow at the National Security Institute at GMU, Law Bishop Garrison, to talk and break this all down. Good to see you here. This has been something, it's been a little bit of a back and forth, obviously, since October 7th, 14 months. Here we are. This is the closest we've ever reached to this ceasefire. What do you make about the last 24 hours? Is this, as you would imagine, typical when you're dealing with a terrorist organization?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Nothing is typical when you're dealing with a terrorist organization, to be sure, but this is welcome news. We know that President Biden and President-elect Trump have had representatives working closely on this in the region for some time now, and it's good news to finally hear that there's been a breakthrough. As we understand, this is going to be potentially a phased release of hostages, with some of the conflict, some of the more violent parts of the conflict being at least reduced via this ceasefire for some of the coming months, and then we'll see work being made towards the release of the rest of the hostages, as well as Palestinians receiving some aid in this situation.
It's Thursday night out in the Middle East right now. You still have to get through Friday and Saturday, and then come Sunday, which would be the first part of this deal. You know, it's hard to read the tea leaves here because, as you say, everything is so unpredictable and unstable. Is there a potential that in the next 48 hours something goes wrong and this does not go through as planned?
I mean, not to state the obvious, but yes, that's unfortunately a very real possibility. We know there are some hardliners within the cabinet for Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's had his own reservations about making this deal as well. However, it seems as though, as honest brokers, both parties have come to the table and they're trying to resolve this. So the next 48 hours are going to be critical. They're going to be crucial in ensuring that this ceasefire and this peace deal actually take hold. But it truly remains to be seen. Hopefully that's what we'll see, because we've had enough loss of innocent life throughout this conflict.
Bishop, how critical have the Americans been in this? Because we know that there were Middle East envoys from both the Biden administration and also from the incoming administration, neither part seeming to really want to give each other kudos. But in the end, this was truly bipartisan, if you will, as far as the American approach. But how critical were the Americans in the Middle East making this happen?
I'd say we're very influential with the neighboring states within that region. When you talk about Egypt, you talk about Qatar, that was a big part of this. The United States is always going to play a pivotal role when it comes to bringing two groups like this to the table. And I think to some degree we may not know truly how pivotal a role until many years later, as more details are fleshed out. We know that Brett McGurk from President Biden's administration was in the area for some time now, as well as an envoy representing the interests of the incoming Trump administration. So I think a lot of this has to do with what was being brokered behind the scenes as a part of the efforts of the Americans, but more will truly play out in the coming months and years.
Across the board, the cliche stands. Time will tell. Bishop Garrison, we appreciate your insight here, and we hope that, of course, this plays out come Sunday.